All right, we are live. So wherever you're tuning in from, go ahead and drop it in the chat. We got Facebook here, we got YouTube here, we got multiple Facebook pages going. So wherever you're tuning in from, drop it in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, drop it in the chat anyway and be an active learner. All right. Now, based on the title here, how to speak confidently on camera, how to speak confidently on stages, and how to speak confidently on podcasts. Before we move on, how many of you in here right now know or believe, maybe there's a little belief, but maybe there's some belief that your story, your testimony can change someone's life? The things that you've went through, the things that you've healed, the things that you've overcome. How many of you realize that you didn't go through all of the things in your life for nothing? You went through the trials, the tribulations, you've overcome things, you've healed some things, you've achieved some things so you can turn around and save other people. How many of you realize that? If you realize that, go ahead and drop a yes in the chat. Now, what we're going to do, this will probably be like a 30, 40-minute training here, depending on how fast or how slow I speak, how intense I am. But I'm going to show you how to speak confidently on camera, how to speak confidently on stages, how to speak confidently on podcasts, because the truth is, bottom line, people need your story. They need your story. They need your testimony. They need your trials. They need your tribulations. They need your story. And every single day that you don't share your story, there is a man or woman out there suffering because they haven't met you yet. And so for you to keep your knowledge, for you to keep your expertise, for you to keep your story to yourself, it's selfish. And so I want to show you how to speak confidently on camera, how to speak confidently on stages, and how to speak confidently on podcasts. So I'm going to go through the overall psychology of this. And at the end, I'm going to show you what we got going on in a few days where you can spend multiple days with me on how to build a profitable speaking business. All right. So before we move on, if you're ready, drop a yes in the chat. The CEO, what's going on? He said, what up, Nick? Sick Rocket Bunny. He's talking about my car. Well done. Great to see you. YouTube comments rolling in, Facebook comments rolling in. So wherever you're tuning in from, drop it in the comments just so I know you're here and ready to rock and roll. Now, first, we're going to lead with the psychology. We're going to lead with the psychology of how to speak confidently on camera, stages, and podcasts, because if we go straight into the mechanics and straight into the strategies, if you're not thinking the right way, you won't follow through on the strategies. Does that make sense? Right? And so let's get into the psychology of this. The first thing that you must understand is that speaking is one of the most selfless things that you can do. And the reason why most people have a fear of public speaking is because they have a fear of, what if I stutter? What if my message isn't good enough? What if I skip over my words? What if I forget what I'm saying? What if I don't look good on stage? And what if I were to tell you that if your focus is on you as a speaker, you've already lost the battle? Pace Morby told me you were going to be at an event together. Was it Squat Up Summit? Nope, have no idea. Don't talk to that guy. And so psychology-wise, you can eliminate your fear of public speaking if you take the focus off yourself and you shift it to the audience. It's not about you. It's about the transformation that you're getting the audience. So let's put it this way. Have you ever pulled up a podcast? Have you ever sat into an event, and when a speaker came on or the podcast host came on, you were saying, I can't wait until they screw up. I can't wait until they tank this podcast. I can't wait until they've ruined their presentation. No. You've never wished on the downfall of a speaker or a podcast. It's the other way around. When you're listening to a podcaster and when you're listening to a speaker, you are wishing, you are hoping, you are praying that they're going to give you insight that can change your life. True or false? If you're tracking, just drop a true or false in the chat. So what does that mean? Understand that when you go out on stage, when you go on a podcast, when you go on a Facebook Live to share your story, nobody is wishing for your downfall. They're on your team. And they're actually praying, hoping, and wishing that you give them one piece of wisdom that's going to change their life forever. Someone dropped shift in the chat. That's a shift. And so if you can start shifting and realizing that it's not about you on stage, it takes the pressure off. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. And psychology-wise, bonjour, psychology-wise, you also need to understand that the people in the audience are one piece of information away from a new life. The people in the audience are one piece of information away from a new life. How many of you watching right now, because I know you're watching from all different platforms, how many of you watching right now firmly believe, you have some belief, I don't care if it's a big belief, you have a little bit of a belief that you have something that could change someone's life, a story, a strategy, a tool, an exercise, a piece of wisdom. You have something that can change someone's life. How many of you agree with that? If you agree, drop a yes in the chat, right? So we need to unwire a few things. The first thing is, it's not about you as a speaker, it's about the room. The other thing is that you need to understand psychology wise is that life has already qualified you to serve other people. Your mess is your message. Your mess is also your map. You've walked a specific path, you've overcome some specific things, and you have a specific story. Now it's time to give it to the world. And another psychology shift that I can give you is that speaking is like music. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's amazing artists in all genres, but I don't listen to rock and roll. I don't listen to screamo. Sometimes I don't listen to country. I'm not saying that they're not talented. It's just not my type. So what does that mean for you as a speaker? What that means for you as a speaker and you sharing your story is that if you just share your story authentically, understand that there's going to be a percentage of the audience that doesn't like the story, but there's always going to be a percentage of the audience that resonates with you and loves your story. One of the greatest mistakes that I've done or I've experienced over my 7 years of speaking on over 500 stages is I was trying to create a message that everybody loved. I was trying to please everybody. Don't do that. You don't need to please everybody. What if I were to tell you all you need to do is be your authentic self, share your story in an authentic way, and your authentic story is going to attract and repel the right and wrong people in your life. Are y'all tracking? If you're tracking, drop a yes in the chat. So Nick, you're telling me that all I need to do is share my story in an authentic way, and my authenticity is going to attract the right clients and it's going to repel the wrong clients anyway. Someone drop shift in the chat. Don't miss it. Someone drop shift in the chat. You can just speak about what you love, and for those that resonate, they're going to want to go deeper with you. But you're not out there sharing your story. For some reason, you're scared. For some reason, you got some beliefs, and we're here to unwire and rewire that, right? Now, another shift, there you go, the CEO. The other shift that I want you to note is that the law of average states that if you just ask enough times, somebody's got to say yes to you in every single area of your life. If you ask enough girls out on a date, someone's going to say yes. If you ask enough men out on a date, someone's going to say yes. If you ask enough people to share your story on their stage, is someone going to say yes? You tell me in the chat. If you just ask enough people and you continuously ask to share your story on their podcast, share your story on their Facebook Live, share their story on their stage, their panel, is somebody going to say yes eventually? You tell me. 100%. You're going to experience no's, but if you don't give up, somebody's going to say yes. And guess what? It's not even the money that you're going to get paid. It's not even the clients that you're going to gain from the stage that's going to really transform your life. You know what's going to really transform your life? The evidence that it's possible. I'm going to break my computer. The evidence that it's possible. All we need evidence, all we're looking for is evidence that I can do it. All we are looking for is evidence that someone wants to hear my story. All we're looking for is evidence that my story matters. The question is, this is a big shift here. I don't know if you're ready for it. But the big shift here is most people aren't willing to suck long enough to be great at something. Most people aren't willing to suck long enough to be great at something. And I can assure you, if you stick through the season of suck, it's inevitable that you will be great at something. So if you can commit to being not so good at sharing your story until you're good at sharing your story, life will never be the same again. You want to stand out upon the other speakers that don't make it and the speakers that do make it. Suck long enough to be great at something. I'm just curious, how many of you right now on Facebook and on YouTube right now are willing to suck long enough to be great at sharing your story because you know it's going to save someone's life? If that's you, say that's me in the chat right now. Let me see. Let me see it. If that's you, say that's me in the chat. You can look at YouTube videos of me 7 years ago when I was giving my first speeches. They were terrible. They were horrendous. No one's going to pay me for those things. But I was willing to suck long enough to be great at something. And that's the question I have for you. If you really know in your heart of hearts, in your soul of souls, that your story, your testimony, and the things that you've overcome can save someone's life, wouldn't you be willing to suck long enough in order to save someone's life? Bonjour. I don't know your name. It says bonjour, everybody. She said, that's me. Your first crack at anything will never be your best crack. Jot it down. Your first crack at anything will never be your best crack. But if you do it with enough persistence and it's important enough to you, one day you will be great at it. Now, these are a few shifts that are going to help you speak more confidently on camera, on stages, and podcasts. These are the psychology stuff, right? But the other thing we must understand is anytime that you want to master a skill, anytime that you want to master a specific mastery, you must understand that there's 3 parts of the brain. How many parts of the brain? Quick, in the chat. What do we got? There are 3 parts of the brain. You have the thinking brain, you have the doing brain, and you have the being brain. Y'all tracking? So let me give you an example. If you've ever remembered the first time you learned how to drive a car, the first time you got into the car, you were thinking about everything, right? You're putting on your seatbelt. You're checking your mirrors. You're figuring out the gear things. You're trying to figure out, at least not for me, but for you, you're trying to figure out which pedal and which foot do you use, right? How many of you agree the first time you learned how to drive a car, you were thinking about everything? And then you put it in drive, you were on your way, and you started to drive. And then a few days went by, and you got what we call reps. Someone dropped reps in the chat. You got some repetition. Right? You got some repetition. You drove 5 times, you drove 10 times, you drove 15 times. All right, 15 times, you get in the car. You're not really thinking about it as much, right? Yeah, you put your seatbelt on, your mirror's already done, you put it in drive, you turn on the music, and you're on your way. True or false, right? You don't have to think about it as much. Now, my hallucination is, for those that are tuning in from Facebook, for those that are tuning in from YouTube, you've probably driven hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, right? How many of you have ever driven from point A to point B and had no idea where time went? You just, I arrived at my destination. That was a fast drive. You had no idea where time went. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, drop a yes in the chat. You had no idea where time went. You just arrived at the destination. Now, why is that? Because you drove your car so many times where you went from thinking driving to doing driving to being driving, which also means you had unconscious competence, meaning you didn't have to think about it. You just did it. It's just in you. You embodied it. Is that making sense? So if we take that psychology and we shift it to sharing your story, the truth is, my friend, that you only have to share your story over and over again until you become a master at it. That's all it is. I have to commit long enough to share my story until it's a no-brainer, to where these stories come out of me and these lessons come out of me and these tools come out of me, all the things that we're teaching. But if it's really important to you, are you willing to do it with enough repetition until it is you? Do you think that even if you sucked at sharing your story, but if you just committed to sharing it every single day, you would refine your communication skills and one day you would become better at sharing your story? You tell me in the chat, yes or no. If I just got enough repetition of sharing my stories over and over again, that one day I'm probably going to be good at it. Are we in agreement on that? Drop a yes in the chat if you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? I'm leaning into you, you lean into me. Great. So that's another shift. It's like, okay, Nick just told me I just got to do it enough times until I go from thinking it to doing it to being it. Can you do that? Is it rocket science? No. Can you do it? Yes. Okay, great. Now, one of the last things to help you speak confidently on camera, stages, and podcasts is understanding that there's 2 types of people in the world. How many types of people? Drop it in the chat. I only got 1 finger. There's 2 types of people in the world. Don't miss it. You have Puddles and you have wells. This is the difference between people who make money when they speak and the people who don't make money when they speak. This is the people who are successful, and the difference between people who are successful and the people who aren't successful, right? Now check it out. There's two types of people. You have puddles and you have wells. Puddles is someone who is a mile wide and an inch deep. Tracking? Mile wide, inch deep, meaning they don't have they don't have much knowledge, they don't have much expertise, they don't have much mastery, they don't have much commitment to the craft. But don't get me wrong, everybody starts off as a puddle. Everybody starts off as a beginner. But if you stay a puddle, one day you're going to be exposed because you're just not a master. So we're always in pursuit of evolving from a puddle to a well. Now, what's a well? Well, a well is someone who's an inch wide, mile deep. Inch wide, mile deep. Tony Robbins, inch wide, mile deep. John Maxwell, inch wide, mile deep. Nick Santonastasso, inch wide, mile deep. Now, what does that mean? What that means is we are committed to becoming students of the game and learning as much as we can about our specific expertise, about our specific zone of genius, about the specific thing that we're teaching, because this translates into confidence. The more, don't miss it, the more competent I am about a subject, the more confident I am. In simple terms, the more I know about a subject, the easier it is to speak on. Oh my goodness. Wait, Nick, you mean to tell me that the more I know about my subject, whether it's addiction, whether it's recovery, whether it's real estate, whether it's taxes, whether it's financial education, whether it's mindset, whether it's health, whether it's marketing, whether it's branding, the more I know about my topic, the easier it is for me to speak on it. Oh my goodness. Jot it down. Competency breeds confidence. So what do you get fired up about speaking? In the chat right now, like, what do you get fired up about speaking? Is it mindset? Is it health? Is it taxes? Is it finances? Is it branding? Is it marketing? Is it recovery? Is it addiction? What is it for you? But everybody's got something that fires them up. And could you go really deep on that to become an expert? 100%. The question is, am I willing to become a well versus a puddle? Bonjour, everyone said mindset and health, right? So she's going to go deep on mindset and health. He's going to go deep on real estate. He's going to go deep on marketing. Gabriel, what's going on, my friend? Thanks for tuning in. We're dropping some gold here. So let's recap here, shall we? And then I'm gonna give you a nudge, because the only reason why I'm here is because someone nudged me. So if I have your permission to nudge you to go to the next level, drop a yes in the chat just so I have your permission. But if you don't want to be nudged, if you don't want to be pushed, if you don't want to take your story and make money from it, that's not for you, then I won't nudge you. But if it is for you, drop a yes in the chat just so I know we're on the same page here. But let's recap here. The psychology of speaking more confident on camera and stages in podcasts. A few things. Let's recap here. First thing is, stop focusing on you. It's about the people. Nobody cares if you stutter. Nobody cares if your hair doesn't look good. Nobody cares if your suits mess up. Nobody cares if you stumble on your words. It's about the people in the audience, not you. Stop being selfish. Tracking? Second thing is, every day that you don't share your story, someone suffers because they haven't met you yet. You feel me? I'm getting goosebumps over that one. Imagine if I quit sharing my story. You know how many lives wouldn't have been saved, transformed, elevated, evolved? Stop being selfish. You got to share your story. Next thing, recap, mindset shift. Speaking is like music. Not everybody's going to like you, but we're not trying to get everybody to like you. Authenticity is the highest vibration. If I just commit to sharing my story in an authentic way, it's going to attract and repel the right and wrong people. Michelle's in. She's one of our students. She's rocking and rolling. Michelle, sending love, my friend. Gabriel said, I'm so selfish. It's okay. Now we're going to shift. Right? Now we're going to shift. So, moving on. Even with 14 years of sobriety, bro, you can help so many people. We're going to help you. You're going to join. You're going to join the challenge. There's a free option. There's a paid option. $47. You're going to join. You're going to come. It's going to change your life. I can assure you. Next thing is, well, let's go back to that. Authenticity is highest vibration. If I just share my story in an authentic way, I'm going to attract and repel the right or wrong people. Fair enough. Easy enough. Take the pressure off yourself. Take the pressure off yourself. Just be you. The right people will come to you. Wrong people will leave. Fair enough. Right? Next thing is, most humans aren't willing to suck long enough to be great at something. If you can commit to sucking long enough to be great at something, you can make money from your story. We have students doing it all over the world. But if you can persist through the season of suck and be great at something, you will be part of the 1% of the world, because most humans aren't willing to suck long enough. Can you do that? Drop a yes in the chat if you can do that. You can do it. Great. Great. I got to be willing to suck long enough to be great at something. The next thing, just to recap here, the next thing is, Nick told me that there's 3 parts of the brain. There's a thinking brain, the doing brain, and the being brain. And the only difference between the amateur and the master is repetition and investment. Those are the things that condense time: repetition and investment. Repetition, investment. And what does that mean? Well, repetition is doing it over and over again. But how many times have we committed to something and then didn't follow through on it? That's why we need the investment part. The investment is leverage, because once you invest, then it's a must. It's like, I paid for this, I got to do it. That's why there's free information that can change your life all over, but we don't take action on free information, because if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. But understand that the difference between you not being a master at sharing your story and you being a master at sharing your story is repetition. I've just spoken more than you have, and I'm really good at it. I've been doing it for 7 years, but I wasn't always this way. Fair enough? So if you got value out of this, drop a yes in the chat. And if I can nudge you, drop a yes in the chat. Let's see what we got. With your permission, I'm going to give you a nudge. Now, this nudge is not for everybody, but this nudge is perfect for a few of you. Fair enough? Not for everybody, but for a few of you, it's absolutely perfect. Now, you see on the bottom of my screen, it says secure your seat at buildyourspeakerbusiness.com. Monday, I'm doing the Unlock or Unleash Your Story Challenge, where I'm going to help you over a 5-day period, an hour or 2 hours a day, build a profitable speaker business in just 5 days. I'm going to show you how to make money from speaking about what you love. I'm going to show you how to use your story, your testimony to make money, to travel the world, to impact lives. Now, if that interests you, drop a yes in the chat. Say, that interests me, or say yes. Now, here's how it's going down. If you go to this website right here, buildyourspeakerbusiness.com, or if you go on my bio and my Instagram, wherever you're tuning in from, there is a free option. Bare minimum, secure your free ticket. But for those that want more proximity to me, want some one-on-one time in an intimate setting with the other VIPs, want to network with VIPs from all over the world, there is a VIP option. It is $47. I can assure you that if you spend 5 days with me, I'm going to show you how to make well over $47. I'm going to show you how to make well over $470. So do you think that would be worth it? The VIPs get more proximity. They get some question and answer. They get to network with the other VIPs. You're going to be spending 5 to 6 days with me. And I can assure you, life will never be the same. How I know that is because the most dangerous information is the information that you don't know. And once I expose you to the information, life will never be the same. You can't see life the same. It's called the law of exposure. Once I'm exposed, I can never be unexposed. So what you're going to do, if you want to use your story, your testimony, the things that you've overcome, you want to share your story, speak about what you love, make money from it, and travel, it's virtual. You don't got to fly anywhere. He said, I'll fly in from AZ. Listen, you don't got to fly anywhere. It's all virtual. So what you're going to do is you're going to click this, or you're going to type this in, buildyourspeakerbusiness.com, or you're going to go to my bio on my Instagram. It's the same link. You're going to secure your free spot, bare minimum. And then if you want to spend a little bit more time with Baby Yoda, you want more proximity, you want to hang out with the VIPs, it's not for everybody, but for a few of you, just pay the $47. I can assure you life will never be the same. All right. Michelle said, do it. It was so great to be in VIP with Nick. Michelle, sending love. Appreciate you. So If you're in, and by the way, I got notifications all here, all on my phone. But if you're in and you're securing your spot, whether it's free or paid, in the chat right now, drop I'm in. Drop an I'm in so I can acknowledge you on this live. This live is everywhere. This live is on Facebook, all my Facebook pages, it's on my YouTube page. It's getting streamed to thousands and thousands of people. Right? So people are signing up. But in the moment, if you're locking in your spot real quickly, I'll acknowledge you. Gabriel said, I'm in. Gabriel from Arizona, welcome to the challenge, brother. We'll see you next week, right? For anyone else, too, who wants to make money, speaking about what they love, right here, buildyourspeakerbusiness.com. Joy said, I'm in. Joy Morales said, I'm in. And in case you live under a rock and you don't know who I am, Michelle said, I'm in, no brainer. I've spoken on over the past 7 years, I've spoken on over 500 stages with some of the greats like Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Russell Brunson. I did 4 years of a world tour with Tony Robbins. I've trained over 1 million people live from stage and millions virtually. And I want to give you the power and the life-changing tools that changed my life. I was a kid who, growing up at 18, 19 years old, I thought the only way that I could make success or have some money was be a Walmart greeter. That's all I was exposed to. I saw a lot of people with physical or mental disabilities, and they were Walmart greeters. And I said, I can do that. And I'm so glad that I never got that job, because rejection was just redirection. And my whole entire life, I was focused on all the limbs that I didn't have and all the ways that I couldn't provide. And who would have thought that the one thing I wasn't focused on, which was my voice, allowed me to make money and inspire millions and millions of lives. I want to help you use your voice not only to make impact, but to make money, not only to make money, to make impact. Y'all speak enough, you might as well get paid for it. Is that too much? So for those that are in, congratulations. For those that got value from this training, congratulations, being at the right place at the right time. For those that are listening to the replay, drop replay in the chat just so I know you're watching the replay and you're doing your homework. But I'm so excited to see you all at the Unleash Your Story Challenge. It's going down. It starts Monday. It's virtual. By the way, if you can't make it live, there are recordings. So if you ever miss anything, the recordings are going to be sent out. You're going to get plugged into a Facebook group with everybody all around the world. There's hundreds and hundreds of people opted into this all over the world that want to learn how to build a profitable speaking business, making money when you talk about the things that you love. Now, someone said, do you get us up on stage? In the challenge, if you're in the VIPs, if you want to share and you have question and answer, you're going to be brought up on stage in front of everybody. So the VIPs have an opportunity to ask questions and get brought up on stage. And inside of our mentorship, we talk about on the challenge, we do have a thing where people come out to Florida and they come up on stage with us. The first step is coming to the challenge, learning it, seeing if it's a good fit, and then taking that journey elsewhere, right? So this will be streamed on Zoom. It won't be on YouTube or anything. It'll be streamed on Zoom. The recordings will be sent out, but you want to be in the room because the breakthroughs happen when you're in the room. All right. So buildyourspeakerbusiness.com, free option, VIP option, highly suggest the VIP. The VIP is $47. Yeah, Gabriel, the VIP is only $47. And you get like double the time with me throughout the week. It's insane. All right. I love y'all. These are the psychology shifts on how to speak confidently on camera, stages, and podcasts. You want to get in the room. The link is there, link in bio and Instagram, or you can just type it in. And I'm going to be going live every single day until the challenge, teaching new things and pushing y'all to this because you want to be in the room. I can assure you. All right. Sending love. I'll see y'all soon. Congratulations for those that are taking action and jumping on the challenge. And we will see you tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you the next day. And if I don't see you the next day, I will see you Monday when we start the Unleash Your Story Challenge. See y'all soon.